Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today we are going to be talking about the Mondo Llama crochet kit, making this cute little tote bag. So, kick back, relax. We've got the unboxing. We have some little check-ins from when I was working on this, and then we will be right back to get my final thoughts and opinions. Hey guys, so I am here to unbox the Mondo Llama crochet tote kit. I'm going to insert a picture here of it on the shelf at my local Target. Now, I'm going to be honest, my Target is not phenomenal with the restocks. So I don't know how long this will be available. But like I said, my store is a little bit different when it comes to the office supply and craft section. The two stores I shop at most frequently tend to not, when something runs out, they tend to not replenish it, even though other stores have ready accessibility to it. So I've had a couple of people ask how I feel about the Mondo Llama crochet kits. Right now, this is the only crochet kit my store has. A few weeks ago, my store had about 4 crochet and knit kits. The one I originally wanted was the Tunisian crochet kit, but my store was already sold out of that one. But they did still have this one in stock. So we're going to give this a try. Today, it's just unboxing. We will come back and do the final review of how I feel about this. But I do have some concerns out of the gate. Nowhere on this box do we see anything about the type of yarn included in the kit. We do have this line that it's 780 yards of yarn. And they're honest up front that it is a plastic crochet hook, but nothing tells us what is the actual fiber content. So I do apologize for the awkward filming setup. Normally we'd kind of work a little bit further apart from each other, but we're in the middle of doing a number of things around the house. And part of that's also preparing for having company for the 4th of July. So this was the easiest time for me to film and the easiest place for light for me to film, but not the easiest place to set up. And you can see the reflection of everything on the table up here. So we have cream. All right, we have 5 balls of cream. And this feels medium cheap acrylic. It's got that weird, scuffy, slippy feeling of something that almost feels like it wants to have nylon, but doesn't. And I don't think it's, oh, it is right there. You can see the sheen on this. It's not like a sparkly Stellina sheen in person, though. It is very much like a cheap, plasticky acrylic sheen. There is a slip. It doesn't feel rough per se, but this is not gonna, I don't think this yarn's gonna hold up very well over time. If I were doing this as a kit, I would definitely do a cotton or a cotton acrylic blend. So we have some blue, a tannish peach, a pink, and kind of like a yellowish color. You can really see that sheen on the yellow there. It's kind of gross. Very cheap, very cheap. I'm gonna be honest. So that is our yarn. Now, to be fair, I am very excited to say the only thing that is not included in this is a pair of scissors. We do have a crochet hook. We have a tapestry needle. And that is everything you need but scissors if you want to like grab this, you're on vacation and you run by the store and you just want to grab something and go to work on. You finish your project at the beach and there's a Target nearby. You're going to run in and just have something so you can work on something. That is nice that there is a hook and a tapestry needle because you can do everything, but obviously cut your yarn. Most of the time, I generally have a pair of scissors nearby. You even if you go to a hotel room, you can generally go down to the front desk and ask to borrow a pair of scissors. The only other thing in our box is our Make Your Own Crochet Tote step-by-step guidebook. So I'm going to kind of pull this off of camera here for a second. Materials still needed: scissors and a ruler or measuring tape. Stitches you need to know: slip knot, chain stitch, slip stitch, single crochet, double crochet. This guidebook will help you crochet your tote whether you're new to crochet or have experience. Practice stitches in the reference section as needed before starting the project. If you make a mistake, simply remove your hook and unravel your stitches and insert your hook into the loop and try again. So good introduction. I do agree with that. We do have some illustrations on how to do our stitches and directions on the stitches. I do definitely 100% appreciate that. Section 2 is Granny Square Pattern and Assembly. So we have a visual diagram similar to what we've already seen. This is kind of cool, especially for those of us who don't read crochet charts very well. They do have this really cool graphic that shows you what each section is and what they should look like. So I do like this quite a bit. I figure I'm not really giving too much away for the first round on a granny square there by showing you. They do continue with the diagrams for all 5 rounds of the granny square. We have a visual pictogram of how to assemble and where your fold lines are going to be and where your join lines are going to be. We have instructions on finishing the top edge, how to weave in ends, and adding your handles. So first look at the instructions. These are not bad instructions. I do really love the color choice. The tan, the peachy yellow, the pink, the blue, and then the cream. I mean, that does obviously give you a very nice springtime bag. Now, as this feels like acrylic yarn, this cannot hold much weight unless you fully line the bag and also line the handle. So the fabric of the lining is holding all the weight, and the crochet is the just kind of an exterior bit. It is very important to know how much acrylic stretches, and based on, like I said, this feels very cheap. I have a feeling with weight, this would stretch significantly. So I would not trust using this as like a purse to carry anything very heavy or like a market bag or anything. Probably if I like how this looks when it's finished, I will probably send this to my niece so she can, shove like stuffed animals in it or something. It'll be a plaything, not a serious tote bag. Although I would 100% take this color scheme and use it for, another project down the road because the idea of this bag is fantastic. So there we go with the unboxing. Hopefully future Carrie has some more input to put into this. Okay, guys, so we're sitting here working on squares. I have the first 4 done. The yarn's not unpleasant to work with. I am using my Clover Amour hook instead of the plastic hook that came with the kit. So I'm sure that's part of the reason why I'm not dealing with any like squeaking or anything like that. But we are getting some weird blubs in some of the yarn. It's not knots, and it's not quite like a fuzz, I tried to get a picture of it, and I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, but I'll put that, yeah, up here in the corner. But they're like little blubs of yarn. It's not even blurbs or splurts or anything else. It's just like a little. So yeah, the yarn is really, really not not high quality, and you can see. I mean, I'm using the 5 millimeter hook, and you can see how much stretch we still have and everything above and beyond. I mean, it's pretty stretchy yarn. So, like I said, for my initial thing, just, with it being acrylic, we were going to need to line this if we were going to put anything with weight in the bag. It's just not going to have any structural integrity. As cute as it's going to be with these colors, it just won't have any integrity in it at all. But so far, everything's coming together. The yarn looks good. The colors are very pretty. I need to weave in ends on these 4. I did these where I did the blue center. Then I came in with the tanny peachy color and did the second round on this one, and then the center of the next one. And then I did the yellow center, yellow around, and then pink center, pink row 2, pink row 3, pink row 4. And then this one was done. So I brought back in the blue. This one was done. Blue. Brought back in the peach. This one was done. Brought back in the peach. Then did the yellow. So we have the same pattern for these first 4. By doing that, I need 13 total to make the blanket or make the bag. So I'm gonna keep on keeping on, and if I come across something I think is worth stopping and telling you about, I will let you in on the secret. Hey guys, so we're doing this as a car crochet now. I'm joining everything together, and I've decided to do a join as you go. So I'm doing the white joining as I go. I had originally thought about sewing this together like the directions say, or slip stitching everything together and hoping to kind of create some strength and stability in these joins. Join as you go isn't particularly tight, while it's perfectly fine for blankets, for bags, especially the stretchy, probably not normally great, but there's going to be no adding any type of strength to this. I will slip stitch the bag closed along the same line, but this yarn is just so stretchy. There's no saving that type of structural integrity part of this project. So I just wanted to check in with you guys. I want to make sure that I remember to tell you why I'd opted to do the join as you go. Seaming for something like this would normally be best, slip stitching second best, just for that integrity. But this yarn is so, I mean, you can even see it here in the white. It's just so stretchy that the stitches are now extra stretchy, and the whole bag is just going to be super stretchy. Like I said, unless you come in, line the entire bag, attach the straps, then line the straps, attaching it to the lining, where you're basically sewing a bag and just making a crochet outer for it, you're just never going to have any type of durability and stability there. So anyway, I'll check in with you guys as I get things joined together. All right, you guys. So first off, I do want to show you my finished bag. It is stinking adorable. I'm just going to send this up to my niece because I'm not happy. As far as an overall project, this will be fine for my niece to put a couple little items in and take around. She's, in that toddler to kinder, between toddler and grade 1 zone. So, she's not going to be carrying around 50 pounds in this, and it'll give her a year or two of having a bag that's cute and fun for her to tote her stuff in. There are 2 different joins I used in here. For me, it's obvious looking at it, but somebody else wouldn't really notice. These side seams are done with the single crochet like the pattern says, and I did join as you go for the body. The join as you go seam has stretch, and the single crochet one has as much stretch. So the problem I have, and this is very unfortunate for this kit, to be honest, exceptionally unfortunate. I had a lot of extra yarn here. So yarns I worked into, obviously I was going to have, it's good to have leftovers of your one color. I have leftovers of the white, but I also have half a skein here and 3 full skeins here. If they had made this using a cotton or cotton blend and something that was not so stretchy in the core of the yarn, this would be a much better final project. It would be a much more usable final project. And if they'd given the right amount of yarn, instead of giving us 3 whole extra balls of yarn, it would have. Now, I understand this is for beginners and more than likely really meant for children, tweens, teens to be, making a project. But the problem is, how frustrated are you going to be when you complete a project like this and then the first time you try to use it to carry anything, it's going to completely stretch out? I have a problem with that, and that frustrates me greatly because it sets people up for failure in the craft. It would not have cost that much more. This kit is $15. It really wouldn't have cost that much more to put cotton in this kit instead of such a cheap acrylic. And this is an incredibly cheap acrylic. The yarn itself, I mean, just on its own, you can see has a ton of stretch. As I said with the unboxing, it's got that weird crunchy rayon nylon feel to it. Kind of like if you still can find like 1992-ish Care and Simply Soft, where it feels very soft when you rub your fingers across it, but once you press down into it, you get that crunch. That's kind of how this feels. Or if you ever used Windtalk, Karen Windtalk had that in the background of it too, where it felt like regular acrylic when you just rubbed your fingers on it lightly, but when you pressed and rubbed, you got this crunch in there. Even Red Heart Super Saver didn't have that crunch, and this has that crunch to it. And it's sad because this is a very soft to the touch and easy to work with acrylic. There are no pokey burrs in here, but we did have these flubby slubs. I tried to get a picture. I'm not sure if I can got a good enough one where we can really show it here. There were these little side slubs where it was fluffs of fiber, but not part of the yarn itself. It's not like one of the plies had like broken and balled off, but the fiber the yarn is made of pluffed in places, or there were uneven pieces to some of the plies within the yarn. So lots of defects, cheap, very cheap acrylic, cheaply made acrylic, cheap quality acrylic. And by doing that, somebody's going to make this project and feel unsatisfied and feel like their ability to crochet is an underperformance. And that's a real shame because the bag is mega super cute. I went to a doctor's appointment and the nurse that was helping me, she's like, that is such a cute little oh my God, look at that bag. And I'm like, I know, but the yarn is so cheap. I'm reviewing the kit and the yarn is just so cheap. You could have charged $15 and given us the proper amount of a good quality decent quality cotton or cotton acrylic blend. It didn't have to be this cheap to keep the price down. And here we are where the bag again, it's such a shame. So as a gift to give somebody or a recommendation for somebody who's wanting to learn how to crochet, I would say you can get this for a teen or tween. I would teach them how to line the bag and make sure you sew the lining of the handle to the lining of the bag. Don't sew them together on the bag because it's just going to stretch apart again. So basically you need to make an inside bag with a handle and then sew it to the inside and just have a shell of crochet. I actually think you'd be better off if you left the handles off of this from the pattern, lined this bag, and used some acrylic handles and attached it to the lining. I actually think that would be a super cute little bag. I would definitely use this color palette again. If I had this in other colors of cotton, I would 100% make this as a market bag in cotton. I did find a mistake in the pattern. So for the handle, it tells you to it says number 1, single crochet along the top edge of the bag. Note, crochet 2 single crochets in the chain 2 spaces. And you can see we're going up and around here. There's no chains in there. When you come back around to add the handles, using the white yarn, add a slip knot to your hook and attach to the top chain 2 space. You don't have a chain 2 space because you just did 2 single crochets in that. And that's kind of a critical error because, again, this is really made for beginners who don't understand reading a pattern. They're going to read that and be like, what? So you do have an error in the pattern itself, and then the same problem in joining on the other side. So yeah, some issues with the pattern. I do love the formatting of the pattern. I love all the pictures. I love how they broke this out where you can see here, you know, what each section is showing and representing in the image. I always say when I do a tutorial, I try to explain something at least 3 different ways to you guys. And they do that successfully in writing here. You have the written directions, you have the pictograph, and you have explicit explanation of what each round looks like in a separate style of writing. So they do successfully teach how to read the pattern and what to expect and what your project is going to look like. And then they, you know, we have how to sew it together in the diagram, which was diagrammed out very well, explained okay. Not horrible, but it's explained okay. And then you have errors like how to attach and do your top border and stuff. And it's like, so close. You're so close. I did sit down and do a wraps per inch. This is a sport weight yarn. So this would be very easy to duplicate. And like I said, I probably will definitely come back and do this in a cotton. I have a couple of different cottons this would be cute for. And like I said, I've got some hot pads and stuff I need to make for my brother and his wife. And he also said they use reusable grocery bags. So, you know, this might be a pattern that comes back up in a different way, in a different fabric, because it is super duper cute. And I think this would be an adorable, like, beach tote bag if it weren't made out of acrylic, because it's just not going to hold up. And it's so stretchy. I mean, when you look at the final bag and how much stretches in this, it's just going to, acrylic doesn't rebound on itself. So, you know, if you take this around for the summer, that's all you're going to get out of it. It's going to fall apart on you, and the yarn is going to slowly draft apart, and it's just going to come apart, which is very sad. I'm very, very unfortunate that it's so close. They were so close with this, and to have somebody like Target have something like this where it's out there in the general public. Now, they did used to have a Tunisian set, and that is kind of the one I really wanted to do. Maybe I would feel differently about that. And I do think they used to have a knitting one as well. My store, like I said in the original video, I think the unboxing section, my store doesn't really restock these. The stores around me don't restock these very often. So I was lucky they still had these in stock so I could take a picture and show them on the shelf. But I don't know. I'm very disappointed, especially because for $15, if this was something where it's like, you know, it would be $25, but that's not the case here. This is for the $15 we're already paying. This could have been so much better. This could have been one of those 5-star perfect projects. Hi, Pippin. Yes, we're upstairs right now. Banner is in his chair downstairs. Yeah, I know. I know. He just woke up from his nap. I made him come inside off the patio because it was 95 degrees outside. And he decided to curl up and take a nap. And now he's woken up and he's like, hey, I'm up. Where is everybody? Anyway, for the same $15 we paid for this, if they hadn't over provided yarn, and even doing the single crochet to join everything, we still wouldn't have used that much of the yarn. We did save some yardage by doing it join as you go for part of it. But I did use the single crochet join to join the whole blanket together. And that, you know, that was the equivalent of going around the squares once. And that took, you know, a couple yards. So it still wouldn't have taken more than one 25-gram ball to do the whole blanket. And that's, so you over provide the cheap, bad yarn, not give us enough to make 2 projects. I mean, that would be a different thing if we were getting 2 projects out of this. If there was, you know, these were 50 grams and we could do 2 projects. But no, you give us cheap yarn, you over provide it, and now it's a project that's not going to have any longevity. And I think it's going to be very discouraging to especially a tween teen who's going to want to use this, and they can't. And there's going to be extra steps, and there's not anything provided for you to do that. Now, I have gotten kits with acrylic yarn to make a bag, but they provide like a fat quarter. So you can hand sew the fabric to the inside, and it's kind of janky. I was lucky everybody in my family sewed, so I could always get help for things like that, but we don't get that option here. So it's like you're so close to a 5 out of 5. But because of where you failed, for me, this is a 2 out of 5. It failed in critical areas. This wasn't minor. It failed in the directions and in a way that's going to tell a new person you're dumb. And the final project is a fail because of the quality of the yarn. So anyway, that is my final wrap up on this. Like I said, we will probably see this pattern again in a updated Carrie version of this because it is super cute and it's totally worth making properly out of a cotton yarn. So let me go take care of Pippin. I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye, guys.